I feel like somehow this has been the longest and shortest week of my entire life. I feel completely just zapped, but I still got shit to do. And I need to stop being chronically online because everything is triggering me, but it's also helping me cope because I feel less alone. But anyways, I'm literally just here to say a thing about some stuff that I once was seeing on the Twitterverse regarding the absolutely awful footage of Sean Combs, aka Diddy, and Cassie. And I'm like seeing people being like, oh, well, what did she do to make him mad? Or why did she stay with him? Like, they stayed together for years after that. And when I see takes like this, lately I've been just trying to not allow myself to get so worked up, because I do love getting worked up. It's just, I'm a passionate person, okay? But I'm just trying to understand that most people are just very misinformed, very uneducated on a majority of life issues that we all face, or miseducated on purpose, as such is the case with many topics in our world. And so I'm working on my default being this person's a fucking idiot for saying that, because honestly, some of the smartest people believe that, might say that, right? Might see that video and be like, well, this must have been a one-time thing. She must have done something so awful to deserve that. And the reason why very smart people might say something like that is because violence is baked in to our society and to our communities. Violence is a public health crisis. It's a public health crisis. And domestic violence does not happen out of thin air. It takes several factors for domestic violence to occur. What I want to say is this. When you were a little kid, if you got spanked or, beatings, whoopings, etc., here's what I want to tell you. Your parents might have sat you down and they might have said, hey, I'm giving you a spanking because you did XYZ. And they probably gave you that spanking, right? They said, oh, okay, you did this, and this is why you have to get this whooping now. And after the whooping, they probably said, I love you. Maybe not right after, but maybe a couple hours later, they said, I love you, or they put you in bed, and they did this enough times, and it might have calcified this idea in your mind that there's something that you could do to deserve to be physically harmed by someone who loves you. Okay. So that's number one, why she didn't leave. Number two, why she didn't leave is because it's incredibly hard to leave a cycle of abuse when the person is extremely powerful, more powerful than you, might hoard resources, might have things that could harm you, after you leave. And so we know from the lawsuit that Cassie filed that one of those things is revenge porn, which is a massive issue, especially in the age of the internet, as the internet gets more and more advanced. Okay, right? So blackmail, things that can ruin your life, and you don't have to be a celebrity, and you don't have to be dealing with P. Diddy for this to happen to you, because abusers have their ways of getting things that they know that they can use as collateral after the fact to keep you in their web. Actually, I want to go back to the thing I said about parents. When you were a little kid and your parents beat you, okay, spanked you, whooped you, whatever, and there's varying levels to how intense that was going to be depending on who your parents were. Did you leave? Well, no, you didn't leave because they are your caregivers and they provided a home for you to live in and a bed for you to sleep in, hopefully. And they fed you and clothed you, right? So that's number one, why you didn't leave. But number two, why you didn't leave is, I mean, depending on how old you were and what generation you were born in, at a certain point you learned that if I told somebody what was happening to me at home, let's say that your parents are beating you to the point where they leave a mark on you, that could get them in trouble, right? And so now you are like, I'm not trying to get this person, my parent, in trouble, so I'm not going to tell anyone. So that's why she didn't tell anyone, okay? This is how the cycle of abuse continues. Like, it's very clear to me, but I am understanding many people actually have probably been brainwashed, because that's what society does, right? They brainwash you because power and control is at the root of all evil. Power and control tactics exist within every institution of our society. Okay? And I know, like, the Western United States culture society, and I know about Jamaican, Caribbean, West Indian culture and society. That's all I can speak to personally. But I know people from other communities that are different from mine, from other countries that are different from mine, from places in the world that are on different continents, who have expressed that they have also experienced these things. So I feel pretty safe saying power and control is the root of all evil globally. And all institutions globally are sourced from power and control and manipulation tactics that keep people oppressed, right? And so because it is so widespread, it's normalized. It's normalized for us to think that if we do something bad, people who love us are allowed to reprimand us in a way that violates our physical body and space. Or even it's okay for them to reprimand us using language that is harsh and violent and demeaning and belittling. And we don't recognize those things as oppression, but they are oppression. And we don't leave our families when they beat us or treat us that way, right? So why would we leave our partners when they beat us and treat us that way? It seems obvious to an outsider looking in, but it's not obvious because it's all a part of the same network of behaviors and logic. And it's the same reason why we stay in jobs where we're treated poorly. And it's the same reason why we say like, oh, well, I guess I'm just gonna vote for Biden again. I know you're like, whoa, how did she get there? How did she make that connection? Oh, wow, how did she make it political? Cassie being abused by Diddy and every other survivor of domestic abuse is truly one and the same with every single Palestinian and every single person who is incarcerated and every single person who is just had their will taken away from them. Every single one of those people have the same experience. If you go to any video on the internet right now where it's showing a police officer brutalizing a citizen in a community that they're supposed to be policing, whether or not they killed them, but it's just like they're being excessively violent with them, you will find in the comments somebody saying, well, don't commit crimes so then this won't happen to you. And that's the same thing as, well, don't do anything bad and then I won't have to spank you. And that's the same thing as, you fucking pissed me off tonight when we were out at the club with my friends, and I don't like it when you do and say and dress like that, and that's why I hit you. Those are all the same thing. They're all the same thing. And it's the same thing as, well, if the Palestinians didn't try to like throw rocks at the border, then they wouldn't die. And I just need us to decolonize. We have to do this work a little bit faster. And they are trying to slow this work down by banning books, by censoring people, by silencing initiatives, by defunding initiatives meant to improve these sorts of issues, by taking that funding from those initiatives and giving it to police officers. Yeah, it's all connected. So that's why she stayed, and that's why it took her a long time to leave. And who knows what it actually took for her to actually leave. It usually takes people a very long time to leave domestic abuse situations because it's so layered. And this is a high-profile woman we're talking about. What do you think happens to the women every day who are in these sorts of situations, who are middle class or in poverty? What do you think happens to them? Well, let me tell you, a lot of them end up dead because a lot of them actually do go to the police, and the police don't do anything because our system does not care, right? Our system enables abuse. The amount of women who go to the police and ask for restraining orders and for legal action to be taken against their abusers, oh my goodness, it doesn't happen. They let women and men, I don't know the stats as well about men, and I should, and I will look into it, but women are dying daily because domestic abuse is going ignored by our overfunded police force. Oh, and guess what? I had to go Google it because I knew it was like some crazy statistic, and I was just like, let me make sure before I say this. Something like 40% of police officers represent domestic abuse. 40 spouses of police officers. Something like 40% of spouses of police officers represent domestic abuse victims. So the people who we're reporting domestic violence to, they're also perpetrating. They're perpetrating. That's why they don't care. They don't follow up. They don't care. And then we act surprised when they brutalize citizens. It's all connected. I'll try to link the study. I'll link the article that talks about the studies. Mm-hmm. And again, I just want to reiterate, it has nothing to do with Diddy and Cassie and how rich and famous they are, or that he's so powerful and that's how he was able to get away with it. Nope. Your neighbor is getting away with it. Everyone who wants to get away with it can get away with it because we do not call out abusers. Every man you know knows a man who's hit a woman. And domestic abuse happens to men too, and non-binary people. I'm just speaking about this through the lens of women because that is what I have researched the most. That is what I have studied the most. I know the most about that. And we were talking about Cassie and Diddy. But anyways, Mars is in Aries, so this is a good conversation to be having. Violence is a public health crisis. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but I can't remember right now. But yeah, don't shame people don't shame survivors, please. Just be glad that they are free. I know it hurts when you see men that you idolize being called out for their bad behavior. I find it odd that you are taking that stance and rationalizing it, but I understand. I understand because our society is built on that. And I would implore all of you to just think about how you would feel if you were in that position. And those were the sorts of responses you were getting. We have an empathy problem in this world. People do not know how to empathize, and I think it's because they don't know how to validate themselves. You've probably been told not to feel the things you feel, and so you think it's trash when other people feel the things you don't get to feel. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say now. I was going to say, how does a hotel have a whole team of security? I would presume it was a fancy, nice hotel that has this team of security. And I assume that someone is paid to watch this footage and make sure people in the hotel are safe. Residents who are paying money to be in the hotel are safe. How does a hotel have this footage and it's literally never addressed? Why are we always putting the blame on the victims? Right? We're like, why did she leave? This hotel literally had footage of her getting her ass beat. And because power and control and manipulation run this world, Diddy was able to pay someone off and he was not reprimanded by law enforcement. Even though any other time when a crime was caught on film, we would be like, oh yeah, you committed a crime. You now have to follow the proper steps of, justice, criminal justice. Oh yeah, no, you can buy your way out of all of that. And that sort of thing happens on smaller scales. It doesn't matter your income bracket. Abusers gonna find a way to abuse. There was another point that I was gonna make and it just came back into my brain. So I guess I had 2 points that I forgot. Hey, thank you, Lord. I knew you'd bring them back to me. For all you out there who are so sick and tired of everyone calling everyone a narcissist, and you're just like, oh, everyone just keeps using the word narcissist. Like, oh, everyone can't be a narcissist. Yes, they can. Because our governments are narcissists. Our entire society is founded by narcissists. So what makes you think? Because all of the research for like so many of these diagnoses have just been conducted on boys and men and white people. So I just and people who like I just why are you thinking that everyone can't be a narcissist and everyone can't have trauma? Complex trauma is not even in the DSM. That's a concept that we are still like in recent like the last decade. That's a term that we've started to understand. Okay? That trauma with a big T, one major event, going to war in Iraq is not the only type of trauma. So why do you think why do you think there aren't more narcissists than previously thought? When we all know narcissists don't even go to therapy like that. And if they did, they would charm the therapist. And then the therapist who's not trained in personality disorders is going to clock a narcissist. Like, why do you think everyone can't be a narcissist? Yeah, a narcissist will go to a therapist who's not trained in personality disorders and charm the therapist, and the therapist will not diagnose the person as a narcissist. Narcissists will lie to the therapist. Therapist will not diagnose the person as a narcissist. Almost every narcissist that I've encountered in a clinical setting has been through couples therapy or is the parent of a child that I'm seeing. Okay? So I need you to understand there are more narcissists out there than you think. And they are police officers and they are committing violence towards their partners, physically and emotionally. Okay? They're police officers. They're your bosses. They are department chairs. They're parents of children. They're doctors. They're politicians. They're CEOs. They're managers of grocery stores. Yeah. There's someone's boyfriend. There's someone's like brother. There's someone's sister. There's someone's grandma. They are out there. Like, and I know that seems scary to acknowledge, but if we do not acknowledge these things, then we will continue to be surprised when people like Diddy and other people in your community who are not public figures are exposed as violent manipulators. Sorry. And yeah, whatever. It's not even, the point is not even about exposing people, right? The point is, it is valuable to learn about narcissism out of the context of the DSM, which is an incomplete diagnostic manual by people who are actual experts in personality disorders, because learning about that will help people who have a tendency to find themselves in abusive relationships, romantically, career-wise, familial-wise, friendship-wise, whatever. Because so many of us have been trained subconsciously and through our family systems to believe that certain behavior is okay. Teaching people about narcissism helps them realize that shit was not okay. That was weird. And thus, when I see any sorts of that behavior coming towards me in another package, i.e. another person, I can just steer clear of that. I don't have to work at that job for that boss who's making me feel like I'm an insane person and like a lowly piece of shit, because that boss is a narcissist and I'm not working for a narcissist. And learning about narcissism is essential, because everyone thinks they're just going to know when they're encountering a narcissist, because the DSM is literally just like, oh yeah, malignant narcissism. You're not going to know. You're not going to know. They're going to look suave. They're going to be successful. They're going to be powerful in some way. They're going to be charming. They're going to make you feel really seen and known. And then before you know it, they're calling you bitch and slapping you in the face and dragging you down the hallway of a hotel. And you're going to be like, how did I get here? So let's start teaching people about narcissism, okay? It's not scary. And like, as I've demonstrated already, like the way my brain works, I just be lumping shit together because that's really what's happening. And so when I hear someone say, everyone can't have trauma, the word's being overused. Therapy speaks being overused. Everyone's not a narcissist. Everyone can't be a narcissist. The word's being overused. What I hear is, just take the abuse and shut up and live with it, because that's what I'm doing, and I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't feel things that I'm not allowed to feel. That's what I hear. I'm sorry. That's what it sounds like. Or I hear, I'm a narcissist, but I don't want people to know. So I need everyone to just chill out with this narcissist shit. Or I've harmed people and I've traumatized someone. I don't want that person I traumatized to know that I did that. So I need everyone to chill out with the trauma talk, okay? That's what it sounds like, honest to God. That's what it sounds like.